For many people, the new year is seen as a promise. It comes to improve various aspects of your life and also gives you a renewed focus on pursuing your goals. Do you guys think, though, that is New Year's resolutions effective? And have you made any resolutions this year? If so, what are they? And has the unexpected event of 2020 impacted your goals and aspirations for your life this year?
I do something a little bit different when it comes to New Year's resolutions, because the first thing that I will do before I make any resolutions is that I will make a list of all of the things that I have achieved in the year. And I will kind of like either go through my emails or go through my camera roll from January to December and just look at every little thing that I've achieved and kind of write that down as a list, and then have a moment of gratitude for those things. Because I think for us as humans, say us, yeah, everyone, we kind of have the habit of only looking forward and not appreciating what we've had. And so obviously when it comes to New Year's, it's like, oh, New Year's resolution. It's like, what are you going to fix? What are you going to change? What more do you want? But we're not appreciating all of the things that we've already gained. And even I think most of the times when I do it, I kind of surprise myself with how long the list is, because we kind of don't think about our own achievements, or there are things that we've achieved that we didn't celebrate, and so it take a minute to celebrate all of those things first before I'm ever thinking about what else do I want, you know?
Oh, I really love that, Luanda. I feel like I'm gonna definitely steal that idea, because
I encourage everyone.
I really love that idea, because you were saying that people look to the future and look to the past, but I think also a lot of people don't look to the present as to like actually what's good now, like right where I am. So I think in terms of New Year's resolutions, I think there's so many things. Well, I think I used to be one of those big New Year's resolutions types of person. Now, not like really strict, but I'd be like always, oh, I'm going to lose some weight this year, and I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do that this year. And this year, I've just, since last year, I think just kind of really stripped it back. And there's something that a Forbes article said is like, maybe look at things that add more value or align with your values rather than things that you think that you should be doing. So for me, it's going to be like, I want to be much more health conscious this year, and I'm going to do veganuary and go vegan for January. And I also want to get a dog this year. That's one of my New Year's resolutions. And I think also to really, in my career, focus on things that I'm really passionate about, and to be kinder to myself. And just to allow myself to kind of be human more. So those would be my New Year's resolution for this year's, and it's really supporting areas of growth where I want to have. And I felt like that's worked better for me than in past years when it was like this, and this, and then I'm like the 83% of people that fall off by the end of the month.
Sophie, those were actually really lovely ones. I'm not gonna lie, I like the being kind to yourself more. That really touched my heart. I'm not a New Year's resolutions person. It's just not my bag. And I never really have been. I think I tried once in primary school, but like you're a kid, so you don't stick to anything. So I'm not a New Year's resolution person. I like the idea of this list, Luanda, because I don't do things like that either. But I like the idea. I don't know if I'll actually action it. I think
I appreciate your honesty, friend.
Yes, because I really like the idea of taking that moment of gratitude. But for me, it's like, I know I probably won't do it, because I do like the idea of a new year and setting goals. I like the idea of it. I just don't think it's actionable for me. And I think that's just like the way that I live my life, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm the type of person who hates the question when someone asks me, oh, where do you want to be in 5 years? What's your 5-year plan? I hate that question. I absolutely hate that question. Full stop, bold, underline, exclamation point. I hate it. Period. Like, I hate it, okay? And so I hate when, like, whenever you're, like, doing something with your manager, like, what do you see for 5 years? It's just kind of like, I don't want to say that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, because I don't ever think things in life are final, and I just want to be so open that I'm not even putting the expectations out there. So I don't really have New Year's resolutions. But so that kind of leaves my question for you guys who may have set resolutions. Do you actually think they're effective, like setting resolutions?
Yeah. So So with me and resolutions, where I'm at now is when I was younger, I used to be similar to you, Sophie, and I kind of just used to, write down things that I wanted. But now that I'm older, I kind of only will set goals for things that I know that I can do for myself, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking whatever I can do for me, I'm going to make that goal. But then the way that I work it through the year, because like Sophie said, the majority of people who set New Year's resolutions fail at them by the end of Jan or the end of Feb. I will break my goal down into months and then have a checklist per month that I would look at on the first of every month, if that makes sense. So if it's like the 1st of December, I will look at the list and it will be like, did you do this, this and this month? And I can tick it off and then I'll come back in a month. And then by the end of the year, you've actually done your New Year's resolutions, because you're not taking it, oh, it's the New Year, it's 1st of January, I'm going to do all of this, and you forget about it. You're working it into your everyday routine, but you're doing it in bite-sized chunks. And by the end of the year, you've achieved a lot of things.
See, I like that approach, taking lots of little steps instead of one big step.
Big one, yeah. Because it's like, even what you said about healthy eating, Sophie, it could be like, that's a lot of pressure to be like, I'm going to change my whole diet, I'm going to eat healthy. Why don't you, people could, you said you're going to start with veganuary, which is fantastic. But like in general, because this is a very common one within our society, people could, say, I'm going to learn one new recipe a week or a month, which is going to have, this much nutrition or this much nutrition. And then by the end of the year, it's so, ingrained in you, and it's a routine for your groceries and you're used to cooking it. And it's just like, oh, I've been eating so much healthier, instead of, going out with your friends and beating yourself up because you had a slice of cake at the end of the meal. So I just think it works a lot better in terms of being kinder to yourself. It helps with that as well.
I think that's so true, because I read this article and it was talking about how most people fall off with New Year's resolutions. And I think one thing that you said, honestly, people be more successful with it, Luanda, because you're talking about you make it bite-sized. But I think sometimes people make it so big, like you say, making these really massive changes. But this article, what I loved about it is that it was talking about, let's just look at really small things you can do. So it was saying like you're saying, learn one new recipe a month, or make sure you go out for 10 minutes sort of walk every single day, or make sure that, you call people instead of texting them the next time you pick up the phone, and commit to calling one person. And just little things that actually make a difference to your life, but aren't going to be making you feel that you need to make these massive, 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 massive changes, because change usually takes time. So I don't know if New Year's is the time to be like, I'm going to change everything about my life. I just don't think it's realistic.
Same, I agree. I think it's just unrealistic to think that you're just gonna magically break these habits. So it's definitely the idea of the bite-sized chunks. But even thinking about that with like things that you said maybe you want to do this year, do you think like 2020, obviously the crazy that has been the COVID, do you think that's impacted kind of what you said, what you thought, what you're gonna do this year, what you want to do this year?
Well, I want to answer that one because I have a lot to say to it. But I remember at the beginning of 2020 and at the end of 2019, my years are just getting all messed up, guys. But at the beginning, end of that kind of overlap, don't you remember people were going insane on social media? Like, it's the new decade. I'm going to do this. 2020, what does that mean? And I was just like, I couldn't understand the hype. And then COVID happened and so many plans just went awry. But I still found so many things to be grateful for this year. Things that were just unexpected, bad and good, but have just made me feel like 2020 is memorable for so many different reasons. So number one is being on this show. Like, I never thought that I would be on a show like this. It's kind of like my dream show, to sit and talk with other women, other ethnic women, and to talk about issues that are going on in the world. Got my first house with my husband, like had time on furlough to really rethink my career and like, okay, where am I going now? What do I want to do? Having that moment to kind of pause and sit down and think. So I think even in 2020, all my family made it to the end of the year, God willing. Like, we still got, all of them made it. A lot of people's family didn't make it.
Yeah.
And for me, 2020 still brought so many blessings that I'm really appreciative of. So I don't think it was a total waste.
I don't think so either. I kind of have. I know I've been making my 2020 jokes, but I actually have quite a positive outlook on the year because if anything, everyone's been able to have, you know, the reflection that we need, even at the beginning of lockdown when everything was so still and so many things started changing so quickly within the environment because we weren't driving cars or because, you know, we weren't doing the usual everyday pollution that we were doing. And on a personal level, everyone's been able to step back and look at, you know, what do I actually want to do? I mean, we spoke about, again, that woman who took a 40 grand pay cut to do the thing that she wants to do because people are now actually putting their happiness first because they've had time to think about what makes me happy. And when you've had time away from the things that are your routine, you get a moment to say, do I want to enter back into that? Or am I ready for something new? And sometimes so many people are ready for things to stop and so many people are ready for things, for a change, but life can't just stop when, you know, if you have children or if you have rent to pay and if you have to buy food to feed yourself, like it can't just stop. So the fact that it did, like the whole world was at a halt and then everyone got to think, what direction are they moving in next? Like that is the thing that I'm most grateful for as a whole that's happened this year. Obviously, despite the way that it came about.
Yeah, I definitely think it's hard for 2020 to have not impacted anybody's like life or goal, and whether that be in a good way or a bad way. As you said, Luanda, like it gave a lot of people that stillness to think, and obviously Sophie had a great year, great blessings and all that fun stuff. I was thinking about my 2020, and I feel like to say it was a great year is a stretch. To say a good year is like a question mark. And so it was like, I think it was just a year. I don't know how to make that make sense. So for that, it has, I guess, impacted what I've wanted to do for 2021. But just in, I guess, a little bit more what you said, Luanda, just me having that stillness to really think, what is it that I want to say by the end of 2021? Like, I feel like I did everything I had to do in that year. Like, what would be the thing for me? And so it just makes me think, like, what do I want to achieve in my life? And I'm still thinking about that.
This is why I talked about the bite-sized chunks, because I don't think it should be more about what have we achieved. As in like, oh, I had that one thing and I'm holding on to that one thing. We want to have a good experience consistently. And that's why I said I will go to it the beginning of every month and be like, have I been keeping up with this? Check. Next month you come again, because we have the whole year. And if you have like a terrible year emotionally, but you achieved the 3 things that you want, to me, it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth losing yourself. You need to be able to ask yourself, instead of what do I want to achieve, you should be probably asking yourself, how do I want to feel?
Yeah, I think it depends though, because I'm not thinking about achieved of like, I want to buy a house or buy a car or learn to ride a bike. Like, do you know what I mean?
You can't ride a bike?
I can't, and we're not going to get into this right now. We will not get into
when
this.
The show ends.
Yes, we will do that later.
No, we need to find a way to bring that on the show.
Yeah, we will talk about that another day.
Do, but maybe now's not the right time.
Yes, not the right time. But the point is, yes, we will circle back. The point is for me,
I didn't even get it. Cycle back.
It wasn't even intentional. I said circle, but I'm gonna pretend.
But you said
it was right there. It was right there.
It was.
But yeah, for me, it's like, that's why I said I don't really set resolutions. But like at the end of 2020, I sat there and thought, throughout the whole year, the one thing that I'm glad that I said that I had gone through the whole year with is that I maintained good relationships with my family and my friends. Like, I just want one thing to be proud of. It's not something that I have to like write on a board and check. It's just knowing that I am, I guess, just actively working, growing. And when I look at the end of the year, I can say, wow, I did grow in this area.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Do you know what
perfect.
I think that's so important, Anissa, because I think at the moment as a society, the New Year's resolutions that we generally focus on, so not everybody, but generally is what can I kind of hold in my hand type thing. Do you know what I mean?
This is what I'm talking about.
What sort of person am I going to be?
Yes.
And I think that that's something that I can definitely improve on regardless of what is happening in the year, because at the beginning of the year, January 20th in 2020, should I say, in 2020, January 20th, my husband's dad died suddenly. We knew that he was sick like 3 weeks before, and then he died suddenly. And on the same day, I was told that I was possibly going to be made redundant from my job. And it was horrible. Like, as many good things have happened, not knowing where I was going to work. And then COVID happened, and it was kind of like, oh my days, like everyone's going to be looking for a job. What does this mean for me? Like, what does this mean? What's going to happen to our future? Like, we didn't even know if we were going to be able to buy our home, because I'm like, if I can't prove that I've got wages for the past few months, it's not going to happen. Then it's based off our combined income. Like, all these different things that will happen. And I think by the end of 2020, I saw the personal growth in myself as a human being. I saw that actually I found strength, and this is linked to my Christianity, but I found strength that I never thought I had, and a reliance and a faith that I never had at the beginning of the year, because I'm a worrier, I'm a natural worrier. And to see at the end of the year, I'm just like, you know what? I don't know how things are going to be okay, but they are going to be okay. Like, I don't know how, but if I could start January 20th being told I was going to be made redundant, and I still had a job and a wage in November, then somehow everything is going to work out. And I think that's the things that I really want to focus on going forward in any other year, of like, how am I growing as a person? Because I don't know how I could be out of a job and my family's like, I've never seen you happier than you are now. And it's making me emotional, guys. But just the idea of like, I don't have to be held by what's going on in my life or how crappy things are, because 2020 has been crappy on so many different fronts, but I can still look and say, actually, there were some good things that really made it worthwhile.
Ooh, Sophie, that touched me. Glory be to God. Hallelujah. I felt it, honey. I did. I loved it. I felt that on a deep level, Sophie. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really did. It really touched me.